Got this big hedge here to do. It's not been cut for 3 or maybe 4 years growth on the sides. Here's one coming in. Jet back to Manchester. I bet you're well chuffed to get back to this now. Cold, damp conditions. We'll just get the disc folded up now. Sunset's lovely. Really even distribution of the seed all over the surface. It's looking dead good. So we're starting with hedge cutting again today. It's kind of the hedge cutting season now. We're about a bit more out in earnest. Got this big hedge here to do. It's not been cut for, I guess, like 3 or maybe 4 years growth on the sides. So what the clients asked us to do is to side it up and leave the height, just knocking it back vertical, just accelerating that growth upwards, just getting it ready to start thinking about laying. It'll be a few years before we've got enough height and decent growth in it to lay, but the process now of just trimming it up, getting that into a more manageable state. Don't want too much material on the sides of these hedges when we start thinking about laying it in a few years. So if we want to keep all the height, just knock it back, but it'd be quite brutal because this stuff's real long woody growth now. So we'll just go over it a couple of times and try and bring it back into check. So I'll just unfold the hedge cutter now. It's quite good, these Revolution controls. It's just one button you can press, just press the button and it just steadily brings around into the cutting position. Flip the other button and then that reactivates the telescopic arm. These aren't really my favourite sort of hedges to cut, but they haven't been cut for such a long time because it's difficult to make a really tidy, nice job of them. It takes a few years to get them back into some sort of shape. It can be a bit brutal. This is one of those applications on this really overgrown stuff like this that those twin heads, those dual rotor hedge cutting heads would be really good for. To be fair, sharpen the flails. I don't know what are your thoughts on sharpening flails as well. Some people are real advocates of not sharpening flails, just leaving them as they are and the angle, and that is what it is. And then others, like myself, like to sharpen them regularly. What are your thoughts? In my mind, if you're going to throw a piece of metal at a piece of woody material, the sharper it is, the neater cut it's going to make and the better job it's going to make, and I can't see any argument for why that isn't the case. I find when the blades get blunt, then they do leave a much more ragged cut on the material, and that's not going to be as good for the hedge. Oh, they noticed the camera. So you just see here now the cut. You saw how nasty that material was. It's shattering it a little bit, but it's not bad. Even on that really thick stuff, I mean, it's split out there. I will come back down this, but I think the way I'm going to approach it is just every time I get to a bit of a tree or an obstacle, I'll just stop back and forth on those sections, knocking it back something like, and at the end, we could just do big long passes then, straight down to the far end of what we're cutting, and get it something a bit neater. But you see what I mean about leaving that top now, that height. Not going to take any more out of that. We'll just keep that sided up. Any of you that have done hedge laying, you know, I'll teach you to suck eggs. You know, I'm not, but those that haven't, you want that length of material nice and long, because when you cut the pletches and start laying it down, you want that long length of material so you can lay it down nicely, long distance, really get a nice thick hedge all the way through. So yeah, we'll leave all that, that'll be fine. Fan's just kicked in now on the hedge cutter. That must be on a thermostat because it's not always running. The old one was running all the time, rightly or wrongly. She's a good trimmer, pleased with it. See what I mean by these flails? So this side, opposite cut, this side is as if I was bashing down. They're chipped to heck. You know, they're taking quite a lot of grief. But because I'm using them on the verge side, but then I try and keep the cutting side, you know, nice and sharp. I have just had to undercut them a little bit on this side. Normally it's sharpening on that back side or each time down, but where they get chipped over time, you just have a bit of a tittle on here. But the back edge really wants a bit more taken out of it. As you start grinding that back, this back edge really needs a bit more off it. So you do have to just trim them back slightly. Okay, now cyclists, now someone else walking, getting outdone. What do these people do? I kind of think with the economy struggling, GDP, it's not really driven at the top end. I think it should be. People need to realise it's driven at the bottom end. If every bugger worked for 40 or 50 hours, would definitely drive the economy forward. But we seem to have people just doing a few hours here, a few hours there. Mind-boggling, really. Imagine where the country would be if we had a year where everyone did 80-hour a week. Just 1 year, 80-hour a week. That's what we do a lot of the time. 70 or 80 hours a week. Every working person in the population did that. Imagine where the country would get to. Hopefully we get a bit of edge cutting done now. So, I can stop moaning. See the hedge there in front of us, what we're doing. Actually, so I'm doing that sort of top of the side first, if you like, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Then I'll go and do that bottom cut below it. It's easier to match up then. But then we will go with another little angle cut on top. Obviously I've not cut the tops, as I've said, for hedge laying length, but we will just put like a little chamfer just to stop the weight of it squashing down with next year's growth. If you don't just put a bit of a chamfer on the top of that long material, it all starts just to flop down as it gets long, especially when it fruits next year. So we will just give that a little bit of a tickle afterwards. It's a shame there's that much berry on here to be cutting the hedges like this now, really. But I am guessing, really, I suppose, in a mast year like this, it has been a hell of a mast year, there's a lot of fruit about this time. But I guess in a way, if you're going to knock this sort of stuff back, this is the year to do it, because the hedgerows are absolutely full of it everywhere. So it'd be more of a detriment to knock them back like this early in the winter, or still in the autumn, if it was a poor mast year, because there'd be less material around, you know, less berries and stuff around for the birds. So there's probably some saving grace in that. You can really see the length of that material now, can't you? It demonstrates after it's gone past that first. It makes it a lot more obvious now how long that material was. I've had cyclists before now come up behind and trying to get between the hedge cut head and the tractor coming through here. Like, that's like totally unbelievable. Look at that, this winds me up. Look at this. Who does this? Look at this. See that there? Some moron taking the dog for a walk. He's had a dump. So they put it in a little plastic bag and throw the plastic bag in the hedge. Why would you do that? I mean, no one likes standing in dog muck, I get. But if you're not going to take it home with you, if you're going to put it in a little bag, then you're better just kicking it under the hedge. That's, God invented slugs and snails. But packaging it, packaged dog poo, and then throwing that little plastic bag in the hedge. Oh my word. It's just the lowest of the low. I see some sights down here. It's a bloke taking a cardboard box for a walk. No idea what that's all about. Nothing sure. Doesn't look like he's delivered an awful lot to society for an awful long time. Yeah, it's quite tight down this bit. This is where we're coming in fencing, so it's scratching the trucks. But nice to knock all this growth back off here. That's Ollie Harrison's favourite place, isn't it? Plane station. Here's one coming in. Oh. Jet 2. Jet back to Manchester. I bet you're well chuffed to get back to this now. Cold, damp conditions. Bet it was a lot nicer wherever they've just taken off from. Lovely to go and get a bit of winter sunshine now, wouldn't it? That's not going to happen. It's pretty tricky down there. There's not a lot of room. This is where I think the orbital head would be absolutely ideal. So we can stick it behind us. Don't just stand there. They stand and so like people like moths. They stand and watch the danger coming towards them. Right, I got back from hedge cutting. Just put the Bednar discs on. I did think that we were going to be done with reseeding for this year, but got another 4 hectares to do for a client, which we're going to rip up tomorrow, and then over the next 2 days, all being well, if the ground conditions are good enough, power harrow, roll it, seed it, give it a roll. So just got the Bednars on now, and just remembered the last time I was out, got these marker boards on the back. That one, we had a bit of an incident with a hedge. Just swinging around, it's surprising how far this just kicks around, even when obviously with the folded up. This is just that bit wider than the tractor. So it's important we've got the marker board on there. So I'm just going to have a little play, see if we can get that sorted out. So it's ripped out through the bolts here. And it has had a mend on it before. This is not the first time it's come a cropper. So we're going to see if we can get this back up and running. Right, early start this morning to get down to site. New project site we're working on today for a client. We've got 3 fields. Small one here, another small one just next to us, and then a larger field. We're going to go into an environmental scheme, and we're taking this old grassland, we're going to rip it up and sow it again with a specie-rich sort of wildflower mix, and then orchards are going to get planted on these fields. So it's going to be a really interesting project over the next 2 years. Get the wildflower understory, and then the orchards planted going into next winter. So first job's out with the Bednar Swifterdisk. So we've got those set quite deep. We're going to go over with 2 passes, break it all up. I'm going to try and get back down here this afternoon with a power harrow. We're now like just into the second week of October, so weather's pretty kind on the forecast. It looks like we're going to be okay, but it's not the time of year to be messing around. We don't get those big high pressures that are with any confidence this time of year, so we'll get the ground broke, get it power harrowed, back down here tomorrow, roll, seed, roll, and hopefully we can get a decent establishment before it becomes too miserable and cold. So I've just set up an AB line on this little field. We'll rip it up and then change the angle slightly, go across on a slight different angle, and then hopefully we'll be good to go with the power harrow. So this field's quite undulating, and where you get these like highs and lows depressions, the disc can't react quick enough to get right into the bottom of those depressions. Yes, you'll see here, like where we get depressions in the field, because the field's quite uneven, you sort of struggle to get in on the first pass, whereas that second pass will come on a slight angle to it. There's dampness here, which is great for the seeds, but it's not wet. It's a slight wet, there is a damp patch over coming into the field, but that's all right. Now we've got it broken, we don't want to get any rain on here, but I think this will work up and be nice. The soil looks lovely. So we're about as late in the year as we want to be doing this type of project now with the wildflower restorations. It's a toss-up really between getting in the ground and getting some level of establishment before winter versus the seed viability. These wildflower seeds don't store well. So we will lose seed viability if we leave this till August, September next year. The autumn being the favoured months for doing these reseeds. Because we've got the aggressive weeds, the docks and the thistles in here, and we're not spraying this off, we're not killing the grass root, so we will get some natural bounce back from the existing turf on here. So I'm confident we'll get this back with ground cover before we get into the worst months of the year. We'll just get the disc folded up now. It's the first little field finished. So that's breaking it up real nice. A little bit wetter in this corner, but we can work with that. That's really good. 2 passes out at slightly different angles, it's really broken it up. We're into the big field now. We've gone over the first half of it, so we've put a line in here, an AB line in there, and left 12 metres uncultivated. The same down this hedgerow here, so that's allowing access from the road through to all the land behind it, giving it like a haul road in for bales and stuff, and getting to access all this other land for grazing. Been through this part once already. I'm just going to shallow the discs off now. If I go through at the same depth, all that turf material starts to clog up into the discs. So we just shallow the discs off slightly, work it a little bit lighter, and that'll just really chop up that surface nicely for power harrowing and make a really lovely job when we get power harrowing them. And then this again is getting planted up. Orchard trees, those orchard trees with quite wide spacings with a wildflower meadow underneath it, so that you'll still be able to mow hay and make hay between the rows of orchard trees. So it should be pretty cool habitat, produce fruit, a fruit crop, which can go in for another purpose, still get the hay off here. So this sort of scheme's hopefully going to be really interesting. It'll benefit wildlife, create a diversification with the fruit crop that's going to come off here, and still give the hay crop for the cattle. So really interested to see how this works going forward. I think, you know, the way modern agriculture is now, it's looking for alternative ways of working the ground and orchard and multi-cropping over one area. It's going to be interesting to follow. I'll just change the depth now. You can see we've been working with 3 packers in, setting the depth down to about 6 inches. We're just going to drop in another 3, shallow it off. I've done that across the board. That'll set the depth. And then we'll just lift this back packer roller up now on the hydraulic ram, back up to those stops, and that'll set the depth that this packer roller is going to sit at in relation to the discs, which will set as a working depth. Even though the conditions are slightly damp, packer rollers keep him really clean. These scrapers do a great job. See how, just on that clip there, I've shown you this before, if you get a stone trapped in there, just flick that lynch clip out, drop this leg off, drop your stone out. Really good, simple design. 2 magpies feeding over there is where we've cultivated that piece up, and the sun's come out. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy. There can't be anything in it surely, but there are 2 magpies in the field and the sun's just come out, so I'll take that. We might get this reseeding sorted before the rain. So I made it back to the yard of the Swifterdisk, just dropped those off. Gonna put on the big Kuhn power harrow now. Get back to that site and try and get it power harrowed this afternoon and this evening. Right, that's all hitched up. We'll get it folded, fill it with diesel. So unless any customers get any dramatic change of plans, this is going to be the last reseed of the year. I thought that about the last one, and this one came along, but we shall see. It's a GCS machinery fuel tank. That's a shameless plug for Michael. If you watch it, they are certainly the people for fuel tanks. Yes, what you do the other day on one of GCS's episodes on their YouTube channel, got a 10,000 litre fuel tank. Massive. Yeah, if you need a fuel tank, speak to Michael or Michelle. I thought this would be plenty big enough for us, but the fuel wagon's coming to this every 3 weeks at the moment. We've got 2 tanks and the Bowser, and I can't believe how much we've been getting done on the tractors over the last few weeks. I suppose weather being good, we've just been full at it. You get through the diesel. Maybe we need a bigger fuel tank. Having a tank on the ground and an electric pump, much safer. Auto cut off on the gun, so no one's just leaving it on a gravity tank, filling up, wandering off, getting fuel spills. We've all been there before at some point in our farming careers. Gravity tank, leaving it running because the tank's getting low and slow, walking off, coming back, not a good scene. Really pleased we've gone for a tank on the ground with electric pump, auto shut off. Less chance of problems and dramas when we're racing around. It's a beautiful sunset over there. We do get lovely sunsets this time of year, but that is glorious. As is this seed bed. I mean, I don't think you could wish for much better than that. Just a little bit more moisture in this soil. And that's worked down really nicely. Really pleased with that. The packer rolls made a really good job. Sunset's lovely. We don't make enough time for just appreciating how lucky we are to be out working in these conditions in beautiful settings. You know, a lovely time of year. So after quite a late night last night, we've got all this groundwork that we're reseeding. So we're back down here again this morning. Pulls on the 6R185. First time he's been out on this site this year. Heaver rolls behind. He's just pressed what we've dissed and power harrowed yesterday. Just firm that seed bed down. Looks pretty smart. Got a nice amount of bare soils for the seed to go into. The existing grasses, which are all advantageous to the mix of the sward that we're going to try and recreate, is fine. That can bounce back. But we've got enough bare soil for this seed with all the wildflowers in it to get a hold and hopefully get germinated before winter. I'm on the 215, just because I need that tractor next and I'll be first off site with the Browns, Harrows and the Stocks Turbojet. Got all that calibrated up this morning nicely. We're sticking on 30 kilos a hectare of the wildflower mix. So Paul's just going to fold up now and go into the 2 fields that I've just sown through there, the 2 small fields. So he can pop them up, get in there, get those rolled, come back and follow me rolling this field. And we left the yard this morning and it was like, we had like it was like strong mist. Sounds like a paint colour, doesn't it, that you might have in the kitchen. Yeah, but it's like a strong mist, like fine drizzle. Everywhere was wet. I was like, oh, this is going to go sticky, it's going to be awful. Anyway, of course, we're an hour down the road to where we're working. Nice bit of wind, it's dry, not had the drizzle. Perfect conditions, and I think we've got rain forecasts this evening for about 9 o'clock. just like single rain for most of the evening, so it's not going to be like torrential downpour, just wet it down nicely. Just so lucky this year. We just seem to keep hitting these reseeds just in weather windows this autumn. It's been fantastic. Really can't complain. So Paul's going to fold up now. Again, like all the rest of the cultivation kit this time of year, I think this is the last time we're using it. Everything can get back to the yard, and on rainy days we just have some serious power washing sessions, get everywhere clean, tidy, greased up, organised and ready for next year. Cracking set of rolls though, these. I saw on PX Farming, they brought theirs back. They've got a couple of rings to replace. We've got a couple on ours which have got cracks in on the spokes. Have you seen how big James's rolls are? I think they're like, this is 6 metre. I don't know how big they are. They're more than 12 metres what he's got. Are they like 24 metres? I don't know. Massive. Anyone knows how big James at PX Farming's rolls are? Let us know in the comments, but they're far too big for us. But they were rolling like 24 hours a day to get the chip going for their seeding. I know they're drilled up now, like cracking. Must be really satisfying to have got all that lot in, following on from what last autumn was like. So I'm going to crack on now. Again, like normal, when we're on this type of reseed where we're breaking the ground but not killing off and not to 100% bare soil, just leave the tines just hovering over the top. There's no point pulling the thatch back up. I don't need to be covering the seed. The rolls will just press that seed in as we go forward, so we'll get that finished. Client will be over shortly. They're dead chuffed that we've managed to get this done before the weather window. Didn't think this site was going to happen this year, so just delighted all round that we've managed to get on it and the weather's been kind. So when we've got a nice firm seed bed like this, you can't see your wheelings very well. It's really difficult to see any wheelings anyway. So this is where the auto steer really comes into its own. You can set an AB line up here. Normally I'd have all the fields saved, but because these are parts of fields and it's a one-off application, you know, we're just working it up this time, and that'll be the last time we come in here for this type of operation. There's no point setting all the field names up. So each time I go into the block, just set up an AB line and away we go. Dead easy on here. Just go into the guidance, set a new track, do a straight track, AB method, give it a number, set A, drive forwards, not backwards, drive forwards, just heading up that field, the line that I want to take, press B, and then straight away you can see it's just got grid lines up the field there that we can follow on the 6 metre spacing. Dead simple. We know we're not missing anything or going over it all twice. So auto steer in reverse, just taking straight back on the AB line to the starting point, drop the harrows down. I've got those set on the work point, just hovering above the ground so they're not hitting that trash, but the very fact that I drop them activates my guidance to tell me that I've covered that piece, so at least we're shading in the map. If I just leave them up all the time, then that means I'd be either recording all the time and then wouldn't know whether I've overlapped or not recording at all. So just lifting the harrows up and down from a high to still pretty high setting just keeps us recording. So forward, engage the seeder, just give it a second for the fan to start kicking in. I've got this calibrated at 9.5 kilometers an hour, so got that set up on the Command Pro. So the tractor's fully guidance, set at the same speed, engine's ticking over at 1100 revs, just no power required whatsoever, and we're seeding. Only obstacle we've got to think about in this field is an electric pole next to us, but we'll diddle around that, no problem. Then when we get to the end of the field now, just approaching, I'll just flick the seeder off, lift the machine up, we'll stop work recording, we'll stop seeding, and then we'll go round the outside of the sort of headlands on this L shape at the end afterwards. Beauty is now I'm going to try and turn in too tight. I can just watch my screen, I can just turn in, hit a grid line, knock it in auto steer, drop it down, hit my speed, seed's coming out, we're in a straight line, consistent speed and recording. So it's just more of that really, back and two across the field. Diddle around the outside of the headlands on this L shape. That's me done. So you see here, I'll just show you here now, if you look at the surface, you might be able to pick up on some of these seeds, and they're all just lightly pressed into the surface. A shower of rain this evening and that'll just like dampen down and wash that in. It's a lovely coverage. Probably won't pick up that well on camera, but really even distribution of the seed all over the surface. They're good.